Thanks, Lee. Yeah, thanks everybody. I'm so excited to be here, firstly. And for those who don't know me, I'm Nadia Viren Patel, CISO at LRMG, and based in South Africa in Johannesburg. And very excited because a couple of months ago, and I just want to give you guys some history where this came from. A couple of months ago, we pretty much had South African CISO Alliances, meet up, and we pretty much went into a discussion about what is happening with certifications, because we're always talking about certs, we're always talking about what do we study, where do we go, and the question we always get asked ourselves by other people is, how did you get into the industry? And I always like to think about Steve Jump always makes a really funny comment every time someone asks, how do you get into the industry? And he's like, I have no idea, and it's true. How many of us just literally fell into this industry, got here by chance because we had IT background, we had whatever, and didn't really have the basis of where and what to study. So it's really tough because we missed out on some of the certifications we could have done early on. A lot of us haven't done all of the certifications. And how do we do it better? How do we get, not just the next generation, but ourselves as well? Because I think for me personally, I sometimes like to think, we defenders when we work as internal security. And what happens is a lot of the time we're missing some of the gaps, or we've got gaps in terms of our knowledge in, for me per se, I've got some networking knowledge, but I know there's some gaps, and yet my development is strong. So I always think to myself, how do we fill those gaps and how do we get there? And when we did the uncover, we discovered that a lot of people are struggling with the same thing. And I hope that resonates with a lot of you. But also, if you go to a specific company like SANS or ISACA or ISC2, you're always told to study this. And the problem with that is again, it's based on a curriculum they've put together. How do we get vendor agnostic with regards to that and put basically, knowledge from different places and different vendors? And that's where I then got the assistance from Bevan and Katlego, and I pulled them into the room and I said, guys, help me solve this problem. You both in the training industry, you both come from two different, backgrounds. Bevan's got a PCB kind of background. Kat's got a strong ISACA background. And I said, and yet everything we put together, I've got a strong background in other things. And everything we put together is totally different from that. And we said, this is be the first of many, but let's start somewhere. And where we started is literally the defenders and the attackers. And I think there's a big gap for us in that regard as well, because I always like to think to myself, I'm a defender, but I don't really know how to attack sometimes, or where the attack is coming from. So I started learning about the attack side, which I think is a great missing piece in my knowledge, and having to fill that gives me perspective, right? We will go into pretty much this exciting thing called cyber wars that myself, that is on behalf of Impactful, which is a business inside of LRMG. Even though I'm internal security, I used a lot of their brains and the collective, industry knowledge from them, as well as Bevan and Katlego. And this is what we've pretty much come up with. This is, and we're all geeks, right, guys? We're all pretty much in IT, we all in security, we're all geeks. So we pretty much played on, I remember someone made a joke about Star Wars, and I was like, and it wasn't anybody technical. And I said, do not pick on us technical people. We love Star Wars. We've watched them all. We've done The Hobbit. We've done, and Lord of the Rings. And we thought, how cool would this be if we literally played on the Rebels and the Empires and the Star Wars theme? And that's pretty much how we came up with Cyber Wars.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting because we're putting up the defenders and the attackers against each other, and we're getting you pretty much competent and comfortable and being able to be competent in what you're studying to be able to do this. So I think, thank you, Lee. Someone wasn't on mute there. So you'll see this is pretty much where we're going to start off with. And I want to be able to say this to you guys. Why it went out to everybody is because I struggle with, I know I started studying. Danny, you were one of the people that I touched on, and I was like, hey, Danny, masters, how am I going to do this? And thank you so much for being there for me and being that person. But when you're studying, we don't have the luxury of going into class 3 to 5 days a week, right? We in security, we in IT, we don't have the luxury of sitting 8 hours in a day, even 5 hours in a day, and being able to study. So what we then said is, how do we make this easier and better for everybody? And that's by doing self-paced and virtual, right? Is you get the option to be able to do what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it, because all of us study at different paces. And that's how we came up with this. So the blue team is going to be the Empires, the red team is going to be the Rebels. And we've paced this over 4 months. Okay, so it's a 4-month program. You can either go into red team or blue team, both if you choose. It will be, an option as well. But it's a 4-month program, and month 1, we decided to start with the basics because a lot of people miss out on the basics. So the first certifications, we call it 3 certifications over the 4-month period, but it's actually 4. We've combined the A+ and the N+ because it's going into literally network and infrastructure basics, which a lot of people are missing out on, right? So we've started with CompTIA. We're going into the basics. Both tracks are going to be studying that at the beginning. Month 2, and this is always a non-popular one, but who's heard of the incident handler, right? Because what's always fun is I always think to myself, when guys come and they hack or they pen test, or we as the blue guys, as defenders as well, we're sitting on the inside. How many people actually know what are the protocols of how to actually handle an incident once it happens? Because that's inevitable, right? And that's where I said, to the guys, and Bev and Kat, pretty much we all agreed. We said, one of the fundamental things that we're going to need to learn, and it's not it's really a basic intermediate course on handling incidents. And that's what both tracks will learn, because I think both tracks will benefit from that. And then month 3, the tracks split up. And that's where they start dividing and going to conquer on their own. So the Empires will go into network defense. And that's where they'll literally go in and learn how to set up the perimeter for it not to be attacked, right? So basics and intermediate, as well as touching on some expert skills on network defending. And then the Rebels will go into ethical hacking. Similar situation, they will learn how to hack. And this is where I like to say we blue teamers, and I'm a blue teamer, but in all honesty, I would love to learn the other side. So this is something where I would not fall into my normal, experience, and rather go and learn something different, but it's up to you guys. And then we said, okay, so, all good and well, we're going to do this, but how do we give anybody practical experience on this as well? Because it's all fun to learn how to hack, but how do you do it in a literal situation? And that's where we said, well, why don't we actually do a capture the flag, where the blue teamers will actually set up the defense, and we get the red teamers to actually come in and try and break that defense down and actually go at war with each other. And I'm no expert on a CTF, but I'm going to now bring on Bev. And Bev, if you can tell us a little bit about the challenge, please.
Yeah, I'm also not expert on CTF. I think that's why I was smiling when you're saying it. Warren's on the call, but the last time I threw Warren in the deep end, he did really well for himself, but I'm not going to do it now. So, yeah, it's the fun of doing the two sides. And I think, we've got some abuse, and I know this, the biggest Star Wars fan in the universe is on the call right now. I'm only the second biggest. And the colors, all that sort of stuff, we could get into trouble, but that was the fun. Guys, it's going to be a setting up environment where we're going to have the two sides fighting off each other at the same time. But the thing is, they've really got the 4 months of experience behind them, and hopefully the really good people guiding them through that time. So by the time they get to the 4 months, then we're going to be sitting and working out on the go how we change it. And we're going to be looking at how the people respond to things, and we're going to obviously be judging. But the first time it'll be a very light one, and then we'll give them more of a challenging one as we're going on that. So we have just been designing it with the guys over time, working out the right environment, working out in terms of getting the best cost to the best value. And we're really looking forward to taking the challenge between the two different groups. And obviously, the trick is to be mentoring people through the whole process. So they'll be mentored beforehand, and we'll be sitting with the guys and we'll be helping them as much as we can, but then walking away and then going, all right, well, we've helped you now. Let's see how good you really are. And I think that's the trick with all these things. Mental, and you get to a point and you just throw them in the deep end and you say, go, guys, go. So I'm really looking forward to how well we're setting up and going.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Bev. And that's exactly it, right? Is we want to do this with a lot of hand holding, because we don't want to just leave you to get your own. I mean, our entire generation has been taught like that. They throw us in the deep end and expect us to swim. And we've done that really well, but let's not do that this time. And what I love about this is that we've made it like, 6 kind of phases over the 4 months. You'll see the classes are being instructor-led training, and I'm going to hand over to Kat soon, who is our actual instructor and who is going to be training and getting his guys to train on all of these courses. But what we've done is we've pretty much set aside 2 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 6 to 8. If you cannot make a course, that's okay. We're recording it. You come back, you can watch it at your leisure. The reason we want you to attend classes, though, is so that you can talk to your peers. It can be an interactive session. You can actually ask Kat. It's workshops. You can ask Kat and his team questions. And then also we are giving you access to Skills of Percepio, where you have boot camps. You can watch videos. You can prep. You can self-study. You can do exam prep. We will help you on this journey. And we will give you a learning journey manager from Impactful. And that person will literally say, how are you doing? Are you on track? Do you need help? Where are you failing? Where are you succeeding? And this is the difference we want it to be, is because we really want people to succeed. We don't want them to fail. And then obviously the capture the flag happens right at the end of the 4th month. You choose when you want to write your exams. You have 12 months. Your voucher is scheduled for 12 months. Some people will write the exams immediately after studying the course. Others will write it, month 4, or at the end. You decide. And then the CTF challenge will be a 24-hour challenge, which is going to be awesome. Bev's just explained that. And I'm going to hand over to Kat for his 2 minutes. And he's our instructor. So Kat, take it away. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks, Nadia, and afternoon, everyone. I think from our side, we're just looking forward to having Jenny on the A+, and also on the incident handler and the defense side. I think as practical as possible. So what we're emphasizing really with these courses and the journey overall is to just make it as practical as possible for everyone. The training will be led by guys who are really certified in the spaces and who are already trainers in the space. So there will be that care, and that's why then the 2 hours, even though it's short, will really build a relationship with you during the course. I think over and above this, then there'll also be the added value that just comes from the industry experience, and there will be deep conversations just around each of the topics, so that then anyone who comes out of this is coming not just with the theory, but also with the practical experience, and I think that's what we're really aiming with the program. More than anything, I'm looking forward to the capture flag. Having done this before, I think it will be one of those where then we prove who learned more, but in the end, I think the wider community will then just benefit.
Awesome.
Give you back, Nat.
Thank you so much, Kat. I really appreciate it. There's a lot more we can go into, but I do want to leave a few minutes for any questions that anybody may have. I am not an expert at the learning or anything. I just literally help put the journey together. But I will hand over to my colleagues that are in the call, as well as Bev and Kat. But pretty much the blue team, if I could just show you quickly, the blue team core courses, what it's going to teach you really is about network and infrastructure security. Like I said, the basics, incident detection, response, and handling, the network defense fundamentals, and then obviously going into the cyber wars. The red team, similar situation, starting with your basics, the incident handling, and then of course, the ethical hacking methodology. And that's really going to delve into really how to actually hack and pen test, right? And then of course, the cyber wars. Lee, I thank you so much. I hope I didn't kill anybody by PowerPoint. I had 5 slides, and 2 of those slides were my introduction and my thank you. So I hope I didn't kill anyone with PowerPoint.